Have you ever felt like something changed you? Like it left a mark that you couldn't erase? That's the reality of trauma. And it not only affects your emotions, but it reshapes your mind, planting new seeds of belief that sprout like weeds in your subconscious mind, draining your energy and taking away your ability to thrive. But the ancient alchemists, known for turning lead into gold, had a way of dealing with trauma that went to the core of what it is at a very deep level. And it's no surprise they had a way of dealing with this, given that trauma has been around and part of our experience for thousands of years. The tales of alchemists turning lead into gold are only surface level. There is a much deeper level to what they were doing here. On a deeper level, it was the idea of turning something less like lead into something higher. And it's something they had mastered over centuries of experimentation with not only physical substances, but the nature of their minds. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can turn trauma into a strength, redefining these experiences and what they mean to you so that they no longer hold you back, draining your life force and freeing up your life force, which we know as energy. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Now, there's a lot of advice on trauma out there, and there's many therapists that could go on and on about trauma all day, and that's not what I'm here to do. I've actually personally experienced trauma myself, working as a paramedic for 8 years, never even having seen a therapist until one day it all came up at once. And at first it was almost too much for me to handle, but in going through the process that I'm going to explain to you now, I was able to overcome this. And just like you can take a picture and change the way you see it by repainting it, I was able to do that with many of my traumas, turning it into more of an ability that I have today that makes me a better person, a stronger person today than I was back then. Now, the first thing here is defining what your story even is. Have you ever found yourself repeating the same story to someone over and over again? This compulsive need to share this part of your past about how someone harmed you or what they did to you? Or perhaps somebody asks you something and it brings up such an intense emotion you immediately snap back at them, right? You almost it triggers something inside of you. There's something there. This is the beginning of the trail here. And you'll want to find what these stories are, first of all, because we subconsciously play these patterns out over and over again. Once you know what the story is, write it down. And as soon as you begin writing the story down of how this person harmed you years ago, or the things that you went through before in the past, you'll be able to intuitively start to feel some of the emotions that are coming up. But beneath the emotions is something much deeper. And this is where the technique of the alchemist comes in, is they didn't look at things on a surface level. They looked beneath and under to really understand the nature of things at a atomic level. And they looked at their emotions and the way they feel and the nature of their mind the exact same way. So in looking at the emotions that are coming up as you're writing this story, becoming aware of it, you'll also realize there's certain beliefs underneath. And so that's the second step here, is after you've defined the story, is to realize the beliefs and write them down. What are the beliefs about this story that make it true to you? Now, many of these beliefs might not seem completely obvious to you, especially if this is something that happened a very long time ago. It may even take some time for these things to come up for you. But even in writing this story down, Andrew Huberman actually has a podcast where he explains this phenomena of writing the worst thing that ever happened to you down for 3 days in a row. He doesn't say just write it down once. He says write it down at the same time every day for 3 days in a row. And he found that within this study, I don't think he ran this study, but whoever ran the study found that the participants felt immensely better just in writing the story down over and over again. Even though the first time around you could imagine you'd feel absolutely horrible. And make sure you give yourself space and kindness to actually get through this. But every time you iterate, different meanings of it will come out to you. And in those meanings, you'll find the beliefs. Now, once you've defined what these beliefs are, you'll realize that these beliefs are no longer things that you consciously even want to believe. It's funny how beliefs get planted in our subconscious minds when we don't even consciously believe in these things. And you'll look at some of these things and be like, I feel this, but I don't consciously agree with it or feel that it's actually even true to my life or where I even want to be. Well, you can make a choice. This is the power of choice. This is where you can begin to take your power back. And what you'll want to do is now choose new beliefs that are in line with who you actually do want to be, that maybe even take this trauma and redefine it into this new belief in a way that actually is empowering instead of disempowering. Now, as soon as you've chosen these new beliefs, it's important to begin acting on them. And this does take a certain amount of mind control. And this is where my technique of relaxation and silence really comes into play. Because this act of being able to, at any moment, drop into a state of relaxation and instantly being able to quiet the mind, which is a learned skill. I say if you practice this technique for the next 30 days, you will feel the ability to drop in and do this. And you can get a free starter guide down below that'll actually explain this whole entire process to you. But in being able to drop into this relaxation and silence, you'll get a new level of mind control. And there's another bonus to this technique, because when you actually get into a state of relaxation and silence, your nervous system begins to open up to energy that's all around us, that we're actually able to absorb and, fuel this life part of ourselves. Actually, I didn't explain that right, but when you open up and you relax, you open yourselves up to energetic forces outside of yourself. You're able to generate a limited amount of energy through the air you breathe and the food you eat. But actually, you have a human ability that many people don't even realize, the ability to actually tap into a life force that's outside of yourself. This is what the yogis practice through the art of yoga. This is what you see in Tai Chi and Qigong and like a lot of these energetic practices. That is what they're trying to achieve. And you don't need to learn all these practices, but through the simple technique I share down below, you'll be able to do this. And it's free, by the way. Another benefit of contacting this universal life force is it'll give you the energetic capacity to move through this phase of your life. Because many people don't want to look at the negative beliefs. It's easier to keep telling yourself the story because it takes an immense amount of energy to do this. But my friend, once you do this, once you're able to get to the other side of this and begin acting in line with these new beliefs, they become a part of you, a new version of yourself, and you'll begin to radiate a different kind of energy, a different kind of frequency. People will look at you very differently, and the perceptions and opportunities that are going to come to you in your life is going to be much different than anything you've ever experienced before. This is the power of post-traumatic growth. And if you'd like to dive a little bit deeper and get a personalized experience, in just one session I can help you do a lot of this. And I do a one-on-one shift session down below. You can sign up or check that out. I'll leave the link there. And until next time, take care. Peace.